Hello everyone, I hope you had fun learning Fernando Sor's Opus 60 number 5. Today we're going to take a look at how he wrote this, and we're going to take a look at it using color. So if you haven't checked out the Grand Fretboard Experiment, you probably will want to do this to get the most out of this video. That's my series. You can check it out up in the cards here in the corner about representing music theory on the fretboard with color. It's a lot of fun. Please take a look at it. So without further ado, we're going to take a look at this score and color each of the notes according to our color diagram above. So that's my A minor scale. Remember, the first part of this piece is in A minor. And of course we have, just to go through the colors, white is our root, purple is our second, blue is our third, green is our fourth, yellow is our fifth, orange is our sixth, and seventh is red. And we're back to our root, the white, the A. So don't forget that these colors show up in these orders. They represent the scale degrees. If you're not sure what scale degrees are, check out Music Theory in one lesson. That'll fill it in for you. That's by far my most popular video. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is coloring these as we go. So if we look, this is the note B, and B here is our violet. So let's take this and turn it a good violet color. Next, we have C. That's our blue. So let's make this a blue color. I want to make it a little bit of a darker blue. Remember, dark and light will be how we tell the difference between major and minor here. Next we have D, the green. That's our fourth note of the scale, so that'll be our 4. We're going to color that with some green. That's kind of a gross green. Let's use this green. Okay, then we're going to have yellow here for E, our 5th. All right. So here's something to look at. What he's doing is he's actually outlining the 1 chord here. So if you'll recall, our chords are built by taking every other note. So our 1 chord is going to be outlined by using white, blue, and yellow. And you'll see white, blue, yellow. And these notes here are just passing from one to the next. So next we want to color here. This is our D. That'll be a green color for our 4th. Oops, wrong color. Let's pick the green. Okay, so that's our 4, and you'll see that we have another one here. And then we go back to yellow. So let's take a look. And you'll notice this yellow is actually on its way up to the orange there. And then we're going to move back down, back to green. And then our B, the violet, our 2. I believe it was that shade of violet. Not more like that one. Okay. So now we take a look, and what we have outlined is really the B. So purple, green, orange. That's our 2 chord. Purple, green, orange. And you'll see purple, green, orange here. This yellow, it's all purple, green, or orange. The yellow is just kind of a passing note on the way there. Okay, so let's keep moving. And drag my little reference here. Now what we have is an E, so this is a yellow note. So we have yellow. This is a G sharp, so you'll notice this is actually a half a step higher than what we have in this scale. This is him using what's called the harmonic minor scale, and it provides a sound where the G sharp is actually kind of pulling us up back to the A. That's our leading tone. So when we color this, we're going to want to color it a dark red. So let's find a red here. And that might be a little too light, so if I color it a dark, or actually, sorry, light red for major. My bad. The dark red is for minor. So that'll be fine right there. And then B is our violet. This low E, that's another yellow. High E is another yellow. And then the D there is our green. That's a really important note in this chord. All right, so let's take a look at what this is here. So we have E, G sharp, B. So E, G sharp, and B. That's a 5 chord. And it's all yellow, red, and purple until we get to this green. And the green is actually our 7 above E. So if we count from E, E is 1, F is 2, G is 3, A is 4, B is 5, C is 6, D is 7. That's our 7. And what we get between the G sharp and the D, and I'm going to play through this small section for you here in a moment, but what we get with that G sharp and the D there is a really intense sound that's going to really, quite frankly, pull us back to our 1. So this is a 1, 2, 5, 7, 1 progression. So if we take a look here, we're getting back to our home base. Remember, white note is our 1. So with all of music, we generally start on our white note, and we add in these colors, and then the colors pull us back home here to our 1. So this here is our blue. Then we have our purple again, or violet, whatever you want to call it. And then we have here our green. And what he's doing here is he's just dancing back and forth in the scale. Back to the blue. And then we have violet again. So that's back more or less to our 1. So white and blue are here, and then he's just adding some dissonance in there to further push the true resolution back to here. Okay, I'm going to grab my guitar, and we're going to take a listen to what this sounds like. So when you're listening to this, keep in mind that we're going from the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 5-7 chord, back to the 1 chord. But instead of playing the chords outright, what he's doing is he's using a melody to outline it. So I'm going to play it nice and slow for you. You'll notice each section kind of has a distinct sound. We have our first measure. It seems to be telling us something. And that seems to give an answer. And you'll listen and hear that there's actually more tension in that second measure. That doesn't feel quite as comfortable as. So what's happening here is he's building tension. As you leave the 1, you're building tension. So you can play this in a way that you actually feel tension. And when you come back to the 1, you can actually release that tension. All right, let's take a look at the next couple lines here. So I've taken the liberty to go ahead and color these first couple measures here because they are the same as the opening measures. So again, we have our reference point up there, labeling our scale degrees, white the 1, A, etc., etc. And you'll see here we have the 1 chord again, outlined by our white, blue, and yellow. We're taking every other note. If you haven't seen Music Theory in 1 lesson yet, check that out. It's on my channel. It'll help you with this. Next, we have our 2 in what's called first inversion. It's our B diminished chord built off of the 2nd scale degree, and the D here is the lowest sounding note. Next, we have an E chord. So the beginning of this measure actually starts exactly the same as before. So let's go ahead and choose these colors here. We got B, our violet. And then here we land on A again. So this is what's called a cadence, and more specifically, it's a half cadence. So a cadence means that the music is coming to a rest, and a half cadence is kind of like a rest, but you know there's more coming. It's not the final rest, if you will. So we have here our 5/7 chord outlined by the yellow, red, and violet. Or sorry, not 5/7, just 5. And then after that, we have our 1 chord again. White, yellow, and blue. White, yellow, blue. But that chord is in what's called second inversion because our notes, the white, A, the blue, C, the yellow, E, it's the second note above our root. That's the lowest sounding note here, the E. So when you order them E, A, C, then you have what's called second inversion, a 6/4 chord. If you need any more clarification on that, check out Music and Theory in 1 lesson on my channel. It's an hour-long video I put up just for that purpose alone. So next we have B, our violet. So we're ending on a 5 chord. And that is what really makes it a half cadence. So let's choose our colors here. You'll see that, of course, the 5 chord is our yellow, red, and violet. We have nothing but yellow, red, and violet here. So what we have in terms of chord progression is basically the same thing. 1, 2 in first inversion, 5, and then 1 in second inversion, and then 5 again. So let's take a listen. 1, 2 in first inversion, 5, 1 in second inversion, 5 again, giving us our half cadence. So let's take a listen. Notice the 1 will give us less tension than that 5 at the end. It sounds somewhat incomplete. One more time. All right, let's take a look at our next 4 measures here. So here we're starting on our 5 chord, and actually more specifically our 5/7, because again we have that D. So our 5 chord is built off of the yellow, our red, but remember this is G sharp from our harmonic minor scale. Our violet. Here's a yellow again. It's really neat how these colors all line up. Oopsies. And then our violet again. So this 5/7, and you can think of it as a tonal color, because it gives a very specific type of sound. Take a listen. That's what we get for yellow, red, violet, and green. And of course, that yellow bass note, the E, we're going to keep that ringing over the whole thing. And what we get here is back to our 1 chord. So it's a 5-to-1 progression. So this is our blue. Here's our white. Blue again. And here we have our yellow. Remember, our 1 chord consists of white, blue, and yellow notes here. And that's, again, back to our really kind of comfortable type of sound. So if you look at the color in the measure before, we have something that looks a little more turbulent. And then the measure here, it has a really, feels like we're home again. So what we get, and if I were to play it, you'll notice the first measure is much more stressful than the second. And then next we have essentially the same thing as the first measure, but the bass note is an octave lower. So that's really the only difference, and there's no tie. But we have our yellow, our red, violet, and here, up here, this high E, our yellow again. And here, the D, our green. And B, violet. So then we go back to that color, but this time it's a little richer just because of that low bass note. And then back home. So we have 5-1, 5-1 for our progression. And you can see the colors of the measures actually kind of interchanging. So you're starting with that yellow, red, violet, and green pattern here, and you end up with white, blue, and yellow. And then there's that 5-7 color again. And lo and behold, we're back. Oops, sorry, did I do that? Is yellow. We're back here, back home to the comfortable white, blue, and yellow pattern. Now, of course, we have one violet note, but that violet note there, the B, is just kind of passing down to the A. Another blue. Another yellow. So overall, we have a 1-5-1-5. So we have, or sorry, 5-1-5-1. So 5-7, 1, 5-7, 1. All right, so let's take a listen to what's actually written. Okay, so starting, we have our green note, the D, the 4, paired up with two Fs, our orange note. So this is actually a 4 chord. Even though we don't have the final note, which would be white, we still have 2 of the 3, so it implies our 4 chord. And then we run into our first dark red note, just the G from our natural minor scale. This is our 7 chord. And this B, of course, is our violet note. So what we have is 4 and then 7. And actually what this is this is a trip around our circle of fifths with a sequence staying in this scale. So this D here is actually the 5 of G. And this G here is actually the 5 of C. And this C, when we play this is our blue note, it's actually going to be implying a C major chord. So we get C, E, E. Well, C, E, G would be C major. We're just missing the G, but it's implied here because we have these two. And then this C is the 5 of this F, this orange note here. And what we have here is F, A, A. So it's implying our 6 chord. Of course, C is the 5 of F. F is the 5 of B. So of course we don't have the B down here in the bass, but we do have it up here. So our violet note here. And if you look, the next note, if you skip one to get the B diminished chord, it'd be B, D, F. Well, we have our D down here. So it is the 2 chord. However, it's in first inversion. So there's our 2, 6, then our 5. So E being our yellow note, the 5. And here we go for our light red, which is the major scale red, or our harmonic minor rather. So that gives that, that more of a pull up towards our A. And then we end up here, surprise, surprise, on our 1, using just our white and yellow notes. We've got 2 white notes. Here's our yellow. Let me color this white one first, it'll be a little quicker. All right, here's our yellow. So let's take a look at, or listen to what we have here. So if you see, we have these really neat 2 color patterns here. We're starting with our 4, and we're moving a root note movement of a 5th to the 7, and then to the 3, and then we're moving to our 6, and then our 2, and then our 5. This is a pretty standard sequence. This concludes today's music theory lesson. Part 2 will be coming out next week. If you'd like to check out the playlist, do so now. You can find the other videos there. And definitely do not forget to subscribe. Definitely do not forget to subscribe and like this video.